I was 22 years old, and I failed to understand the severity of the situation. It was too late. My 16-year-old student died by suicide. I was devastated. No teacher, no parent, no human should ever have to attend a child's funeral. I was also shocked. How could I have missed the signs? I had seen him almost every day for the past 9 months, and he seemed fine. Over the next few years, I was more observant than ever, trying to make sure I didn't miss those signs again. Were any of my students less talkative than usual? Had anyone withdrawn from their friend group? Did anyone seem sad? It was March of 2016, almost 3 years after I lost my student to suicide, that I realized watching for signs alone isn't enough. How could somebody who is so beautiful, intelligent, hardworking, and friendly want to take her own life? She seemed so happy. But that's what everyone says after it's too late. 44,000 Americans die by suicide each year. That's the equivalent of one suicide every 12 minutes. In addition, for each suicide, there are 25 more attempts. That means there are over 1 million suicide attempts, not plans, but actual attempts in the United States in just 1 year. In 2014, suicide was the second leading cause of death for people ranging from 10 to 34 years of age. I'm sure there's a million reasons and theories for the increase in suicide among young people. But the bottom line is our kids are killing themselves, and it has to stop. As teachers, we see our students every single day. Sometimes we see our students more hours in a day than their own friends and family. We worry about them at night, and we think about them on the weekends. We care deeply about their success and happiness. But sometimes teachers worry they'll cross an ethical line. They've been told it's better to be professional and maintain boundaries than react and respond to student emotions. So they stick to the job description, teaching curriculum, grading homework, assigning the assignments, and preparing for standardized tests. Academia revolves around criticism. We search for mistakes, write suggestions for improvement, and hope it will lead to better test scores, better essays, and better students. But the problem is that these kids are not robots. They are human beings with human emotions and feelings. On top of the stress of academics, there's social pressures, family issues, and the need to fit in. I wanted them to know that no matter what struggle they were facing, they make a difference in this world, and somebody has noticed it. Just because they're failing doesn't mean they don't have other wonderful qualities. Just because they're failing doesn't mean they are a failure. I told her her ambition and determination amazed me. I also told her I enjoyed the afternoons we spent together, and I loved hearing her stories about her friends, family, and band. On the last day of school, I asked her if she had considered going to college, and she was shocked. She said it was the first time anybody had ever said she was capable of going to college. That's what happens when we label failing students as failures. They believe it, even if it isn't true. But instead, if we can give them something positive to focus on, they could give them an entirely different future to live into. In anticipation of my New Yearly tradition, I've gotten into the habit of looking for the good in my students throughout the year. I notice things I wouldn't otherwise because I've trained myself to see the things that others might not. Instead of just a distraction to the classroom, I see a student with a hilarious sense of humor who enjoys the company of his peers and likes to make other people laugh. Instead of just a notoriously tardy student, I see a kid with drive and ambition who's balancing sports, a job, and school, yet still manages to succeed in all three, even if it means coming into first period a little bit late after a long night at work. Last January, my student who attempted suicide returned from winter break with a gift for me. It was a journal, and on the first 2 pages, she wrote me a letter. In it, she said, Even days that seem to be filled with gloom have some positive aspect to them. Stars give even the darkest of nights light. She graduated last month and is headed to college with a bright future ahead of her. If we can shift the academic culture ever so slightly towards acknowledgement and encouragement, we might just stand a chance at ending this teen suicide epidemic. But it starts by taking action. We aren't going to solve anything by just looking for signs, because the truth is, in many cases, there are no signs. It's so easy to point out the bad, to say what someone can improve or change. Criticism is instinctual. It doesn't require vulnerability. But we need to make this change in the classroom and on a societal level. Instead of looking for the bad, let's start to acknowledge people's strengths and what they do well. Let's make that our default, not just as teachers, but as human beings. We can make a lasting, positive impact on others. We can end this epidemic of suicide in young people. The answer is simply this: it begins with kindness.